Good evening, everybody. I'm Maria from Barefoot Holistics, and this is You in Mind with our beautiful guest speaker today from the UK, Maria, my dear friend Maria. Namaste, and welcome for joining us this evening.
Namaste, Maria. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So Maria and I have been friends for a long time, and she is a clinical hypnotherapist and Reiki Master. And do you work? I can't remember what else you do, Marie. Do you work with crystals as well? She's a clairvoyant medium, tarot reader, equine Reiki therapist. The list goes on and on and on. You're a bit like me. The list is like. So Maria's graciously come on today to talk to us a little bit about hypnotherapy, which is one of our joint favourite subjects. So Maria, I'll hand it over to you, and if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to this journey of being a therapist, and a little bit about what you do.
Okay, thank you, Maria. I came on a journey with therapy due to my own past history with PTSD and abuse through my life. So it was a doctor that got me to go to hypnotherapy, and the doctor, because it was an alternative to going on to medication. And so he sent me for hypnotherapy, and that was the first time I ended up having hypnotherapy, and I loved it. For me, it was better than CBT, and that just works better for me. I'm good at talking, but I prefer the interaction of hypnotherapy and the therapeutic 95% success rate of hypnotherapy. So when I was in my 40s, I went to train in Reiki. But before that, I've always been a spiritual healer since I was about 19, and I was doing healing in our joint church, is a spiritualist church, is what we both come from. So I did that, and then I went into Reiki really because Reiki has got more precedence, if we say that word, in the world, in the sense that it's got a name to it, where spiritual healing, sometimes people are a bit shy away from that because they don't understand it. So I did my Reiki right through to master, and I'm just doing my teachers now, and basically both for human and equine. Then I did things like Indian head massage, air candling, and other bits and pieces. And then I got the opportunity to train in 2013 and qualified in 2014 as a hypnotherapist. This has led me on to do quite a varied amount of study. Basically, I've done things like a brainworking recursive therapy, which is another form of process hypnotherapy, kinetic shift, which I've just done, and then I trained to be a doula and a hypnobirthing teacher as well, and I tend to work mainly with predominantly with women from pre and post birth, and then I work on women's issues like domestic violence, abuse, and other things around that. I do work with men as well. I do work with men, and I do work on stop smoking and weight management, but forefront of me is for women's issues that I work with, and I work a lot with anxiety. That's why today I've brought a method with me, so that it's not predominantly for anxiety, it's for a generalized thing, but we're going to work on a method.
Interesting. Hi, George. Thanks for joining us. I don't know where everybody else is tonight. Usually there's Tolas and Catherine and everybody else. I don't know where they all are tonight. I'm probably confused because I've changed the times.
Probably so. Probably people are at the moment there in the UK, especially, are having their tea. Because it's tea time.
Tea time.
It's tea time, yeah. So you and I have known each other for quite some time. and we both. I know I work in a spiritual manner. What do you? You work in a very, very spiritual manner as well.
Well, yeah, but I'm not being interviewed.
We do this, me and you do. We end up talking. Oh, we sometimes end up talking over each other, but yeah.
My friend Gina said to me, "It's all right, Maria, you organising all these interviews, but who's going to interview you?" And I'm like, "No, no."
I'd be quite up for that one actually, because
I'm quite happy just sitting here letting everybody else speak, and I'll just smile.
I just thought when everybody does come on, if they get a pen and paper, because I'm going to do a technique where you'll just need to jot a couple of things down.
Yeah,
so if you can do
paper. George, you want to grab some paper, my love?
It doesn't have to be a big piece of paper. It only has to be a little piece of paper, because it's the lines I want people to do.
Right. Oh,
I'm waiting for you to ask me questions, because you told me not to talk too much.
No, it's fine. To be honest, it's gone quite quickly. It's only 10 past, because you speak really quick, whereas other people tend to speak slower. So, right, let me just write in here, because I've forgotten to do this before we started.
Shall I just talk a bit about hypnotherapy and how we
can help? Don't do the exercise just yet. Anyway, Maria, talk to us a little bit about hypnotherapy.
Okay. Hypnotherapy has been around for quite some time. In fact, there is belief that the Egyptians used to have sleep rooms for hypnotherapy. And it's something that has brought to the forefront with mesmerization, basically, with mesmer, which is what magicians use, basically, and stage hypnosis. That's what it's about. But the type of hypnosis that me and Maria use is clinical, which means that we work with a person, and I don't know about you, but I work in a client-centered manner, so I'm guided by my client about where they want to go. Some want the direct approach and get in and get out and do that quickly, and then some want a more gradual relaxation approach to hypnotherapy. The misconception is with hypnotherapy is that we do all the work. Actually, we don't. The client does the work. We are like a bit like a radio. We are the conduit for the client to heal. So we guide that client through a process, and we coach them as well through a process, so that they can access their subconscious and release anything that they need to deal with in their subconscious, and then let it go. It's a bit like defragging a computer. So your mind gets really full up with information and issues and things like that you have got, and then all of a sudden it gets to a point where it can't take anymore, and then it starts going, I've got to deal with this, which is
malfunction, anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And anxiety, and a lot of people get to the actual end of their what I would say RAM capabilities, and then they have to deal with it, and then they have to go to find a therapist to help them deal with how they move forward. So of course then the hypnotherapist is like the defrag for their brain, and they help them obviously get on with moving that forward, dealing with it, releasing it, and then they've got space in their brain to cope with other things. I mean, most people think about hypnotherapy for smoking and weight loss. Yeah, that's great. That is what it's for. But there is such an expanse of things that hypnotherapy can be used for. And we're not just hypnotherapists, we're counsellors, we are coaching as well. Yeah, we're a coach as well. And people don't realise that having a hypnotherapist, I mean, I've worked with rape victims. I've worked with domestic violence victims. I've worked with very complex issues. And when somebody walks into a therapy room, they come with one thing, and that doesn't have to be the reason why they're there. The anxiety might not be the fact that they have the fear of spiders, say. That fear of spiders might have come from something else that they brought into that fear of spiders, or that fear of spiders might not be theirs. It might be that their mum went, when they saw a spider, and they've associated that with fear. So their fight and flight reflex is basically on hyper alert. But being a hypnotherapist is a lovely job. I love it.
It's really good.
And I mean, I'm like I say, I work in a client-centered manner, which means that some of my colleagues working don't talk a lot, just get in there and get on with it. I don't do that because one, I'm a natural talker, but I like to listen to what people have got to say, because sometimes you find things out from people by their facial features. What they're saying is not what's going on in their face. And if you read body language, you know that that is the case.
Okay.
Also, you can find out a little bit of their history, and as part of hypnotherapy, we have to take history in some cases, because we might want to do something called age regression, or we might want to do a past life regression or whatever. So we need to know as well the medical history of somebody, because if they're in psychosis, we're not supposed to treat. We're supposed to know about medications, and a lot of hypnotherapists have a list of medications that they have, and a list, because we've got to know what they are so that we are treating fairly and rightly for the client. And I think people get that. They see stage hypnosis and they go, "Oh, so you make me look like a chicken?" And I go, "No. If you want like a chicken, go get a chicken soup, mate."
Even that though, Maria, even stage hypnosis, which I've tried doing as part of the training, I just couldn't do it. It's just not in me because it feels really weird. But even that, if it's not in your character, you wouldn't do it anyway.
No, you wouldn't. And I've got friends that I've got some really good friends who are stage hypnotists and magicians as well, and that's part of what they do, and they're brilliant at it. But that's just not me. I'm more let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's help you move on with your life. And I think when you get somebody in your therapy chair and you listen to them, and I think that's the biggest thing, is listening. And being and I mean, like I said, most of the hypnotherapy is done before we go into hypnosis.
It is,
It's done most of it, because sometimes I've had people in my chair and they've gone in this chair, actually, this is my hypnosis chair, they start talking and I'm going, and I'm like writing my notes down and I'm thinking, that's not what you've come for, really. Do you know what I mean? And you get to know people and you get to listen to what they're saying, and you get to listen to the bits that they're not saying.
But it's like you were saying earlier about people associate hypnotherapy with stop smoking and weight loss. But me and you both know that it's never about the smoking or the weight loss. And when a client comes to you, that's like one of the first conversations you have to have with them, is that, that to deal with the weight loss or to deal with the smoking, they first have to deal with the issue. And sometimes clients don't want to do that, but I think once you build a rapport with the client and you get the trust going, then the work becomes a lot easier with them, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does, because smoking is actually never about smoking. People say they want to stop smoking because it helps them with the stress, but it doesn't. It makes the stress worse. You know what I mean? It's actually, it's a narcotic drug, you know, and with every narcotic, you have to treat it the same way. It's an addiction. Now, I used to smoke in my 20s. So I'm not one of the people who's going to say that's wrong, because I'm not. I've smoked, I've drunk, I don't do either now. For personal reasons, I just don't. But I think you have to understand the backstory to why somebody started smoking. And I find a lot of people, when they go start smoking, it's because somebody gave them a cig and they didn't want to stand out of their crowd. They wanted to fit in with their peer group. And especially like when I was at school, I went to a rough council estate school, and when you start smoking, if you didn't join in, you were bullied, you know, you were seen not to be cool. And then obviously once it becomes a habit forming, and then it becomes a bigger habit forming, and then you can't stop it, and then you rely on it. It's like almost like a crutch of you know, oh, I feel anxious, I'm gonna have a cig. And women tend to use it as well. A lot of women for weight control, as we know, but it's nothing to do with the weight control at all. And I think people don't realise, you know, they've got to think about everything.
It is a slight appetite. What's the word? I've forgotten the word now.
Suppressant.
Suppressant, that's the word. But in reality, it doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't. I mean, I've seen people who are this size that smoke, women, and I've seen women that are this size, you know, that smoke. It makes not one jot of difference. You know, it's something that people do with their hands, hand to mouth, and they have to learn to replace that. A lot of people, when they come for stop smoking, they started smoking maybe after a bereavement or after something traumatic in their life. So I say to them, right, okay, I'm not going to treat stop smoking. And they go, well, that's what I've come for. I've come for one stop smoking. No, I don't do one stop smoking sessions. I'm sorry, but I'm the wrong person for that. And it is possible. Some people do. But you have to look at the history.
That's why we need to look at the history, because if they're not 100% ready to stop, then the one stop smoking is just not going to work. It'll work for a couple of days and that's it.
Yeah, totally. And that's where you get the people saying, well, that hypnotherapy didn't work for me. And it didn't work because the person wasn't ready for it to work and committed for it to work. That's the thing, you have to be committed to want it to work in the first before you walk through the door.
Yeah,
and you haven't had a cigarette before you go. And I tell people that, I go, don't come and have a cigarette before you come. And then I can smell it on them when they walk in. And I went, I'm not doing the session with you, because it's pointless, because you're wasting your time, and you're wasting your time and money, and you're wasting my time as well.
Absolutely.
But I like to do a bit of history taking. I like to find out when they start smoking. And when you tell them as well, I don't know how much a pack of cigarettes is now. It's about £9, I think. So for 20. So if you're smoking 40 a day, that's £18 a day. And then you times that by the week, the year, and the amount. One lady came to me and she was smoking 40 a day. We worked out that over the time that she was smoking, she could have bought a house with the money.
I know. I used to have the smoking calculator on my website, on my old website. And it's amazing. People had messaged me, oh my God, I never realised, I could have had a holiday in the Caribbean,
Exactly. And that's, and it's people get to a point where they stop smoking, and they want to stop smoking because they've had a health issue, and the doctor said to them, you must stop smoking, or you're not going to be here anymore. or they've had a child, they want to start becoming pregnant or whatever. But before you start doing anything like that, you've got to think about it prior to that and say, right, we're going to plan to have a baby in 12 months' time, if possible, and stop smoking then, because then your body gets time to readjust. It gets time to flush all the toxins out of your body as well, so that you're not putting that into the growth of to your baby. Conversations I've had with that, and as a birth instructor as well, I tend to say that to women, because I think women get into the mind, well, I'll stop smoking when I become pregnant. No, you need to stop smoking before you become pregnant, for your health and for your fetus's health, and for the health of you in your journey of pregnancy. And that's important for most women, and also dads as well, because sperm is affected by it, and the amount of research that's done on tobacco and the effects of nicotine in the body. I mean, I don't know if you remember, when we did our training, that we a shot of nicotine could put a horse down. Yeah. And that, I found that so like, I didn't know that. They used to put horses down with a shot of nicotine.
I don't know. Go. Sorry, go.
I found that shocking.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told you the story about when I worked over here when I was 16, and
no, I don't.
I worked in a clothes store in Larnaca, a well-known clothes store, and I'd got a can of Coke. It was summertime. It was absolutely red hot, and I'd got a can of Coke, and I kept having a sit between customers and things, and I put it on the side on the shelf, out of the way of the customers, and my boss had had a cigarette and put it in the can of Coke. Well, I didn't know this. Well, it'd been sat there for God knows how long, right? I was working, it was busy, and went back and glugged this can of Coke straight down, what was left of it, and within 5 minutes I passed out.
Yeah, because the hit of nicotine mixed with the Coke, which also had nicotine in it, which it had an ingredient in it. Yeah. It's funny we talk about Coke, because I've just got a lady, a friend of mine, off Coke.
Yeah, well done.
With using adversion technique.
Yeah. That's what I need, adversion technique for the smoking.
Yeah, I know. Should I just explain what adversion technique is to some people?
Yeah, please.
Right. If anybody didn't know, adversion technique is when we substitute something, say like the taste of nicotine for something else, and we use something adverse. That's why it's called adversion technique. So every time you go to take a cigarette, you'll either taste something or you'll think of something else, and it makes you not want to smoke. Or
disgusting, basically.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And I substituted. I substituted for something else that she didn't like, and she keeps telling me that she hasn't drunk Coke since. And it was quite funny. It was what she chose was quite funny, and I thought, it was good. But I mean, she was drinking quite a few cans a day, and I think people don't realise that even the sugarless Coke.
Oh my God, that's worse. That's aspartame.
Yeah, I mean, they don't realise how Coke is so addictive. Yeah. It is so addictive. I mean, I don't touch any of it now, and I mean, very well. I might have the odd one if I'm somewhere and I can't get a bottle of water. Then but I notice my heart racing if I do. Yeah. So, and people don't realise. I mean, I had a lady that was drinking, the big bottles, 2 of those a day, and I got her off that addiction. And there's hidden sugars, there's aspen martin in it, and that is a drug. It's a drug, and It's actually a mood enhance. It changes your mood. It changes your biochemistry in your body. So when we do hypnotherapy, we are health gurus as well.
Has anybody got any questions about hypnotherapy or anything for Maria before we go into the demonstration? It says there's 4 people up, but there's only 2 actually in the chat, so I don't know who else is on.
Hi, Tolas. Sorry, I didn't say hello to Tolas as well.
Yeah. Okay, no questions? Anybody? No. Okay. So do you want to go into the demonstration?
Yeah, go. So if everybody's got a pen and paper.
Explain a bit about it, because this is kinetic shift.
Yeah, kinetic shift is a new modality for me. I trained in it not long back. It's another form of anxiety removal system. That's the simplest way I can say to it. But you don't have to close your eyes with this. You can in part of it. I will ask you to do it for a second, but it's not a full eye closure where you're going into deep hypnosis. That's what I mean. So, hi Raymond. Is it Mr. J.R. Raymond? I don't know. R.J. Raymond. I don't know. Yeah, J. Okay. So, if everybody's ready, can you put me a yes down in there, and then I can get started, please? Then I know if everybody wants to go into it. I will go a bit slower, because there is stages to this, so that everybody can catch up, if you see what I mean. Okay. So kinetic shift was devised by my colleague Carl, and he used it to help people with PTSD. And Carl is the training school that I trained with. There is part of it that you do have to follow my finger, which is sort of a part of a IMDF, or whatever it is. Yeah, I always get the initials the wrong way around. So, but I will do it slowly, and I will say left to right, because I normally work 1-to-1 with people, and I can't see people's faces and things. So, but I will do it. Okay. So if you've all got a piece of paper, what I want you to do is I want you to think of an issue that you have that's prevalent for you at the moment, that on a scale of 1 to 10 is an 8 above, 8 or above. Okay, and write that down. Okay. So it's got to be something that's a 34 that's higher than an 8, because 10 is the top scale of what we use. Okay. We're all ready?
Yeah.
What I want you to do is I want you to identify what that feeling is in your body, where it is, what colour it is, and what shape, if it's got a shape, if it's moving slowly or it's got a motion to it. And then I want you to put your hand on where it is on your body. If it's all possible.
You know when you wish you chose something else. It's like here. I'll go here.
You don't have to put your hand there if you don't want to, but you can. Here. It's just I want you to get that feeling in your body. I want you to get that feeling so you can associate with that feeling in your body. Okay? Okay. So I want you to find it in that body. I want you to get used to that feeling in your body and where it is in your body. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I want to connect with you And I want you to allow me to move that from your body, from wherever it is. Okay? So I'm going to reach in and I'm going to take it out and I'm going to pull it out. And I'm going to throw it away, and it's going off into far distance. So far you can't see it, and it's going to shatter into thousands of pieces. I'm going to reach in and see if there's any residual back in there. Take that out. And I'm going to let it go off into the distance so far that you can't see it, and it has got no association with your body anymore, and it shatters. So I want you all to open your eyes now, please. And I want you to follow my finger. I will instruct you left and right, but when I do left and right, I want you to say, it's gone. It's gone. Okay? So left, it's gone. Right, it's gone.
Shall we say it out loud?
It's gone. You can do if you want to.
I'll just put it in my head.
Right, it's gone. Left, it's gone.
Fingers going off screen.
Right, it's gone. Sorry. Left, it's gone. Right, it's gone. Left, it's gone. Right, it's gone. Left, it's gone. Right, it's gone. Now, I want you to think of a happy memory, and I want you to put it back in that place that you had before where that issue was. And I want you to think about that. And anytime you have that feeling again, now it's gone. You filled it with that happy thought or positive energy that's there. Think about your loved one. So now that is gone, I want you to think about where you are on the scale now, on that 1 to 10. Okay. Now, I want you to say the alphabet backwards to yourself. That's good. Laugh. Let's have a laugh about it. Let's smile. That's it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to smile and have a laugh about it. So where were you, Maria, on the and then the last bit? Sorry, the last bit is I want you to write the number down that you came down from the okay, and I want you to write yourself an affirmation. I have released the issue. And then when you have done today, I want you all to go and write yourself a little letter about what you want to achieve in the next 12 months. And what I want you to do is I want you to put that letter somewhere, either in a diary for next year, or get somebody to post it back to you next year, or post it to yourself, in 12 months' time, post it back to yourself. Okay.
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 Wonderful. I love EMDR. That's one of the models I want to train in.
Yeah, because we're not psychotherapists in the counselling side. We can't do EMDR. We have to do IMET because unless you get through a work situation where you are, then they don't let us do EMDR. But I love it. I absolutely love EMDR. I love using it. I did a short course on it, a day workshop on it, and I love it. But I use, like you, I don't just use hypnotherapy. I use different techniques because I think one size doesn't fit understand. I can understand how it would work in person, but challenging online. Thank you for sharing, though. Hopefully, more people will go to hypnotherapy. Thank you. That's lovely.
Did anybody else want to share anything from that? I know it's a bit more difficult doing it online, but this is actually one of the easier ones to do because you don't really need. George, have you got anything back on that one?
I'm going to say I did it. I've done it for the last 3 days with my crash test dummies because before I came on here, and they all were like, "Oh, one lady was up at 10 and she went down to 5, and then one lady was up at 10 and went down to 2, and somebody went down to 0." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, if they don't go below 3, then we redo it." Because obviously it's still
that one-on-one. It's different when there's obviously you can't see these people on here.
No, but, I can't, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Bex. My issue was stress, says George.
Oh, okay, George. I mean, how did that help though?
Well, I'll tell you mine while we're waiting for George. Mine was lack of energy and physical pain because I think they're interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously it was starting at 10 because I've just had no energy. Yesterday I was out banging all day with friends, but that's another story. And I got it down to 7. So
that's good. I mean, you'll need another session, obviously. If it doesn't go below a 3, then we do say to clients, "Come, we'll do it again." In a therapy room situation, I would take what we call the SUD, which is a pseudo thing, and basically where we are on the scale of 1 to 10. And if somebody's not below the 3, I like a 2, 3. 3, 2 or 3, then I would do it again with them because sometimes it doesn't work. It does work, but it doesn't work down to the bottom scale. So it's like everything else. You have to do it a couple of times for people, and I mean, I love the technique. That's why I went to training it.
It's like EFT, isn't it? We use it. It's what the model that you're using sounds it's like a mishmash of the EMDR, the EFT and the hypnotherapy. It's kind of a mishmash. It feels like a bit of all of it. It's really good. I like it.
I think all techniques come out of, I mean, you know, from mesmerize up to modern day, you know, with Freud and different things.
Hi, Kathy. You're welcome.
Hi, Kathy.
George says it got a little less in the trouble to breathe also from 9 to a 7. Well done, George. Welcome, Kathy.
Oh, that's brilliant, and well done, George. If anybody wants to come to me after and do a 1-to-1, I'm open for that. If they feel they need another session. Because I know it's difficult online, and following my finger is not easy online either. It's better when I've got a full screen and I'm talking 1-to-1 with people, then I can go back. I can do it. Yeah. You're welcome, George.
So did you say you'd got another technique you wanted to share with us today?
Yeah, it was just a quick one. It's just really about panic attacks. And the misconception of panic attacks. I've got a great guy that I learn a lot from, which is Barry Neal. he used to train me. He's trained a lot of hypnotherapists, and I follow him a lot. And I've done some recently. Done a workshop with Barry, and he's taught me about anxiety. And contrary to what I was taught when I was trained as a hypnotherapist, I mean, many a time I've seen people having panic attacks in supermarkets and stuff and things, and I've gone up and I've said, do you need, are you okay? Do you need some help? And he was teaching us about the amygdala. Now, the amygdala is the part of the brain where it sends a signal from the amygdala to the adrenal glands, which set off adrenaline. Yeah. So when you start having a panic attack, basically, your amygdala sends a signal to your adrenal glands and says, right, okay, we need to get out of here. We need to get off with it. So whereas traditionally, a lot of people would say, calm down when you're having a panic attack, calm down and everything else. That's the wrong thing to do. It's actually, if you have a panic attack and you're up here, oh, where's the camera? You're up here, right? And somebody's saying to you, calm down, calm down. Your body is producing so much adrenaline, it wants to get out of a situation because your fight or flight reflex is running so fast. So basically, if you naturally wait for it, it's like you say your amygdala is like this big. It's a bit that big. And if you let it naturally, if you just stand there and just breathe, it will naturally subside. It might feel like you're having a heart attack, but if you start doing other things, you're actually putting more adrenaline into your body. So actually, the length of time that your panic attack will happen will be longer. So you can reduce it down to about 30 seconds if you know the technique really well. And that is just to stand and be still.
Yeah, and breathe.
And it's amazing. I did it with a lady once in a supermarket. I was on my live yesterday. I did it with a lady in the supermarket once before I knew Barry, and I just automatically did it. And I just said to her, just stand there. And she went, what did you just do? And I went, well, and I looked at her and she looked at me and she went, I don't believe what you've just done, because she was having a full-on panic. It was, ringing 999 for the ambulance job. And it happens quite a lot. And yeah, as long as you know that you're not having a heart attack, then you're having a panic attack, and then you feel very same. You know that you start. Some people start shaking. Some people start. I mean, I've actually seen a lady wet herself having a panic attack, which is awful. It's so embarrassing, is that. And if you can just sort of like, if you think about it and you can think very quickly on your feet when you're having a panic attack, and you look right straight ahead in the distance and just focus straight in the distance and just let it subside and just keep focusing on the distance, because when you focus on the distance, your brain is doing something else then. Also it brings down the adrenaline quicker than it would if you sort of like, I've got to get out of here and start rushing and everything else with it. Because what I'm going to say, that's the misconception people have with a panic attack. They want to go up to people and they want to hug them and go, you'll be all right, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. Leave them alone. I remember when I used to have them badly in my late 20s and early 30s. And people say to me, come here, I'll give you a hug. And I'm thinking, back off. Back off, and I teach, when I teach birthing, because I teach a lot about postnatal depression as well in my birthing class. And I always say to dads, because a lot of women tend to have panic attacks when they're after birth for some particular reason. I think it's I don't know why, they just do. And especially I've taught a lot of women who've had anxiety, so I teach the dad how to deal with that and how to cope with PT, with sort of like the trauma if they've had a traumatic birth, and also with postnatal depression, because we're really bad in the whole of the world, not just in the UK, educating people about the mind and mental health. I know we are becoming more aware of it, but we are still bad at teaching it. I think kids should learn it in school, you know.
They should. Because, you know, I mean, that's where a lot of it starts for most people, being bullied in school or peer pressure or, you know, feeling not good enough because you're not an A+ student or what. Or, like, for me, I hated school. All I wanted to do would be outside with the animals and the trees and the grass. I didn't want anything to do with academic stuff. Apart from art, you know, art and wit. And we had pets back then. We used to have school pets could take home, so that, you know, now we're obsessed with it.
I had a guinea pig and it ended up with babies.
Oh.
I was like, I wanted to be in nature. I wanted to be with the horses. I wanted to be with the dogs.
The back of the school, which at playtime, that's where you'd find me, you know. So
yeah, you'd find me actually on my own most of the time, because, like you said, I got bullied at school. But I was talking to a friend recently, and she said, "I didn't realise you got bullied at school," and that's because I was a very private person at school, and like you and I have had long talks about this, so I'm not disclosing anything that we shouldn't do. That we are both empaths, so we very sensitive to other people, and sometimes we don't want to be with other people. We want to be on our own because we find we love being on our own, and I think to be on your own as well. And I think a lot of people have mental health when they're on their own, but it's learning to cope and what your strategies are for coping every day.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing as well. You know, what you come across a lot in hypnotherapy, I think, is other people's perceptions. So, you know, like for an example, in Cyprus, I'm unmarried. I've been and I'm on my own. And you speak to even people who I hardly know, they'll say, "Oh, it's such a shame, Maria, that you are on your own. You need a good man." I'm like, right? Because that's how they're brought up, you know, that you should give somebody, and it's not a good thing to be on your own. Whereas for me, I'm like, just the thought of having somebody here 24/7 just makes me want to throw up, really. But they don't understand it, you know. They think other people's perceptions and that programming that
I think that's why I like working with women in domestic violence, because I went through 6 years of domestic violence with my ex-husband, and so I know how women think, and the mental health issues that come around from the domestic violence. You know, it doesn't just stop there when they do get out of domestic violence. It goes on for the rest of their life, you know, and sometimes I don't like coming myself in situations like if people are arguing, I don't want to be in that situation because I go, oh, you know what I mean, and my hackles come up. But it's learning to cope, and I mean, these situations as you go through life. I mean, I'm nowhere where I was when I was in domestic violence, but there's a lot of women who are still having mental health issues because they are still in these relationships because, like you just said, they don't have a choice. And people say to them, well, why don't you get out of it? And I always say to people, but have you been in that situation? No. Well, then do you know what it's like? Do you know the mental health issues that somebody might have, that maybe there may be codependency going on? There may be financial dependency going on, you know, and that is a lot of things. And then when they come out of those relationships, it's like dealing with all that as well, you know, helping women to become confident again, to love themselves, because loving yourself when you've been in a cohesive relationship is very difficult, especially when you've lived with a narcissist, you know. And I find that a lot of women living with narcissists, you don't always realize that until you come out of a relationship, and you don't realize you've been in a coercive relationship until you come out of it. And a lot of mental health comes from relationship dysfunction. So being on your own is actually sometimes a better option for a lot of people, because at least they don't have to deal with other people's emotions, and they don't have to deal with the backlashes that come out of relationships. And a lot of people who have had domestic violence relationships don't want to go into another relationship because they don't want to put themselves in that vulnerable place. And then they have to deal with
that's not really dealing with the issue, though, is it?
No, it's not. It's not the issue. But what I'm saying is a lot of women come to hypnotherapy after that, because when they are ready to deal with the trauma, the PTSD that goes along with that, then they come for hypnotherapy. And that's where we as therapists can help. But women might take 5 years, 10 years, the whole lifetime before they decide to deal with that. You know, and then
George, how has your bullying affected you throughout your life?
Me?
George.
Oh, George, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, there's a bit of a time lag while people type and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's not just women. I mean, men have their issues as well, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, men are just likely to be bullied as much as women are. And bullying has a serious mental effect on you all your life from being a child. You can get bullied in workplace. You can get bullied at school. Bullied in relationships, you know, and these are the things that we should start teaching our children not to, you know, how to deal with from a young age. I mean, I trained with hypnotherapy in schools, and so I've worked a lot with teenagers, and basically they don't understand that they have a right to good mental health. And I think as parents as well, we owe it to our children to give them good mental health from the moment they are born. Trying to confront others. Yes, I can associate with that, and it does affect you in that way. You know.
Yeah, you raise a good point there, Maria, because a lot of people don't. And I know Dan talks about it a lot, but if you're having a mental health crisis, call an ambulance, because, you know, especially, hi Vicky.
Hi Vicky.
Because if these things get left, then it can turn to more serious things, you know, suicidal thoughts and, you know, things like this. And I don't think people really appreciate how severe mental health issues are. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you're a bit depressed, get over it. The wrong attitude.
The worst thing you can say to somebody when they are depressed is get over it.
Oh, yeah, it's the worst thing.
I always say, if you could put a mirror in front of yourself when you say things like that, then you wouldn't say it.
No.
And just remember that that person is ill. Is not, you know, they're not insane or anything. They're just ill. They're having a bad day. I say to my friends, if I'm having a bad day, I say to my friends, I'm having a black tunnel day. I don't have them very often now because, you know, I've had a lot of therapy and a lot of hypnotherapy and that. But when I was having my black tunnel days, I couldn't see the end of that day.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, but you'll be fine tomorrow. Or, go and get a bit of ice cream. You'll be better, be better in an hour or whatever. No, I will not. And
go on, sorry.
And I hid a lot of my anxiety, a lot of my depression from my whole group around me because of the stigma that it has still. And this
even worse when you're an actual therapist, because people think that you shouldn't get depressed or problems or anything like that, because somehow being a therapist makes you something godlike thing and not human.
It doesn't. I say to my clients, I'm not patients, but clients, I always say to my clients, I know how it feels to sit in your chair, right? And the most people who are therapists, believe you me, 95% of them have got anxiety and have got depression and everything else. And that's why they become therapists.
Absolutely, so we can help everybody else through it.
Yeah.
Maria, we've got 1 minute. I'm sorry, it's gone by really quick. So before we close, if there's any questions really quickly from anybody before we close, and I'd like you to think about, Maria, 3 tips for people during lockdown, because I think you're still on lockdown.
We are, yes. Well, we're sort of semi-lockdown, right?
Yeah.
3 tips for mental health. 1, don't say to somebody, you'll be okay.
But this is for their own mental health.
Yeah, their own mental health. And when you're on, and when you're in lockdown or a situation, if you do need somebody, then go and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. That's tip 1. Talk to somebody. Tip 2 is meditate. Meditation is one of the greatest forms of relaxation, and also as you meditate, it helps you with your anxiety. And 3, just ride it. You can't. What you do today will not affect you in 6 months' time. Okay, so you just have to think it won't matter in 6 months' time. So just breathe with it and just just go with the flow. And if you're having a panic attack or you're having an anxiety day, yeah, just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Because tomorrow you might not have a panic attack. In 6 months' time, you won't even be thinking about that.
Right, thank you, Maria. If there's any more questions, just want to let you know that on Wednesday we've got EFT group. Kathy, thank you for signing up for EFT group online. If anybody else wants to join us, all the information's on the event on my group, Barefoot Holistics, on my page rather, Barefoot Holistics on Facebook. Next week, next Monday's live, we've got Mark, who is going to talk to us about Qigong, and I've been doing Qigong with him, and he's brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. So thank you again, Maria. If anybody wants to connect with Maria, find her on Facebook. And namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Victoria, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel for updates for further things. And lots of love to everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. And if you can donate to Maria, that would be really good, because she's doing this for free and giving her time up. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for everybody joining us.
Thank you, Maria. It's been love you. Namaste. Bye, everybody.